Hey, you're not my car. I got a few of these little light pods. I didn't buy them. I've had them for like 3 years. And that's why there's holes in my car. You may or may not have noticed this tiny red switch in my car that doesn't really fit at all. That's for those lights. We're gonna put them back in today. The first step of installing lights is actually getting all the wiring where you need it to be. Obviously, the engine bay is a pretty big place. There's lots of places to put wires. But if you don't have your wires in the right place, and you have your lights in place already, you're gonna screw up your wiring. Trust me, that's how it works. That's how I installed it the first time, and I had a wire that came out of the grill and went down here because I didn't do the wiring right. Always do your wiring first, then install the fun parts. You're gonna have two main leads, a negative and a positive, and you're gonna wanna wire them usually to the accessory post on your battery, but if you don't have an accessory post, you can technically wire them straight to the battery. It's frowned upon, it's also functional, it works. I'm gonna put an accessory post on because I don't want to start a fire. Upon further inspection, I don't have the clamp for this, so we're not putting that on. Once you find a good ground for your hot wire, you have to mount this relay here. This is going to be your best friend. Relays are kind of like a breaker, but they can reset themselves. Even then, we're still having to put fuses in things. Not really sure what they do, because we still have a fuse, and we have a relay, which works as a breaker. So why do I need the fuse? Show off. Relays are typically mounted on the sides of fenders or on this back firewall. That's kind of just a good spot for them. They're known grounding points and they don't create a ton of issues space-wise. You're gonna have a little metal tab on your relay, and if it makes it any easier, you can unplug it to mount it and then plug it in. I don't like doing that because I hate plugging them back in. I'm actually gonna use the bolt here from the strut tower kit to mount the relay to, because it still should ground to here. If it doesn't, there is a body mount right under that I can also hide the relay under. Also might be safer there because there's not going to be shock in the way in that part. You can kind of put it wherever you want so long as the wire's long enough. Even over there. Why would you put it over there, you maniac? Once you have the relay mounted, you're going to be left to do some cable management. It's best to do this once you have the wires where they need to go. In this case, these wires are going to go to the light pods, so I'm gonna have to cut that zip tie and run them through this panel here. You can actually take this panel off pretty easily, and you're gonna wanna go away from the radiator, hopefully. There should be enough space in there to do that, because that's how I had them in there before. The other wire is for, where is it? The other wire goes to this thing. I'm never gonna use it, I don't like it. From here, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is wire in your plug-in. Be sure to note any cuts or abrasions in the wire casing or wires. Any kind of ground on a wire that's not supposed to be a ground can cause fires. I am not responsible for your fires. If you do have a wire with a frayed casing, like me, you can electrical tape it, or you can put some shrink wrap over it. They both work. Is it the best solution? No. Does it work? Yep. If the repaired portion of the wire is going to be inside the car, it's fine to use electrical tape, but electrical tape is not waterproof, despite what most people say. You can wind it very tightly so that it's more water resistant, but it's still better to heat wrap a wire or shrink wrap a wire than it is to tape it. It varies kit to kit, but now you should be able to plug in your switch, like so, and to test your switch, you can simply turn it on. Oh, you can't see it. There you go. The red light's on. That's how you know it works. Now from this point on is when you get to be a little bit creative. You can kind of, pick and choose where you want your lights. I'm gonna put them down there, where I put those little push pins. In the case of mounting something to a car's body, panels are usually pretty thin, and in this case it's made of plastic, so it's even worse. You can just run a nut and a bolt through it, but you can also use riv nuts. Now, riv nuts come in all flavors and sizes, so be sure to choose the ones that are correct for your nuts and bolts. Come here. You can get rivet tools in any shape or size. I mean, most of them look like this, kind of a big scissor thing. Rivet tools look like this tool. They're annoying to use, but they do the job. They're also Chinese and cost like 30 bucks on Amazon. Go buy one. Speaking of normal rivets, you could use rivets to mount these, but if you're using a rivet, you're making it non-removable, and I want to be able to take these off at one point. Because they kind of look weird, and I might want to replace them with a nicer looking lamp. So that's why I'm putting riv nuts in. I don't even know if they work in this yet, but we're gonna find out. Once you've got your rivet on, that's what it's going to look like. From here, your next step is going to be putting your bracket and your bolt onto that rivet nut and test fitting your lamp to get the right angle out of it. You don't want to be pointing straight up, and you don't want it pointing straight down or out to the sides. You kind of just want it straight forward. Unless you really want to piss certain drivers off, in which case you actually want to mount them up here on the hood, and you want to angle them directly up and at the opposing lane. The rain has started. Friendly reminder that if you're using riv nuts in plastic, don't use power tools because you'll spin the riv nut and ruin it. Now that you have your lights mounted, the next step is getting the wires from the back of the lights to your harness. It's a lot of water. It really is raining, isn't it? Well, not really. It's a very strange day. If it's not blatantly obvious, the red wires are your positive wires and the black wires are your negative wires. If you hook them up backwards, it's not going to work right, and I don't suggest doing that. What we're going to do now is we're going to pop off these clips and we're going to pull this panel off, and then we're going to run our wires down under there. We're also going to zip tie them so they're not, dangling around in front of the very hot radiators and cooling system. Shocker, your radiator is hot, and if you get wires hot, they melt, and then they ground out to things they're not supposed to, causing fires. What is he barking at? Hey! Get over here. What in God's name are you barking at? No, they live over there. You don't have to bark at them. Oh, don't you be coy with me. To get these clips off, you can use a screwdriver, or you can buy a dedicated clip tool. They're like, I think, $7 for a 5-pack of clip tools at Harbor Freight, and I highly suggest it. Always be sure to put your shrink wrap on the wire before connecting the wires. I like to tape underneath them for that extra level of redundancy. You don't have to do that, but, it's nice to make sure absolutely nothing gets in. It's also worth noting, a lot of people say to not use butt connectors. I'm going to be honest with you. This is the way to go. You can solder if you want, but solder gets brittle over time during sustained heat. And you know what generates a lot of sustained heat? A car. Do what you want, but this is the correct way to do it. The train is back! From there, the stuff is called heat shrink. I'm going to let you guess what it... It looks weird. I'm going to do it again. Once you've done that, you now begin the task of putting everything back where it goes. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this, but I'm going to do it like... No, I'm not going to do the dumb YouTube snap thing. I'm just going to go get zip ties. Friendly reminder that your manufacturer put holes in your grill specifically for zip ties. It's also worth noting that the best zip ties are the ones you can always keep an eye on. Just make sure they don't break. Now that you've hit the point where the wire mess is tucked neatly away and definitely not showing at all, you can just go ahead and hit that little switch there, and you get to watch the magic happen as your whole car lights on. As you can see, they are now on. Also very bright. That's it. That's the whole video. Why are you still here? Going to use, but so are standard rivet. Work. Once you've done that, you now begin the task of putting everything back where it goes. Blind people. Not that that was...